So I think the housing association are trying to distract me by telling me that this stuff is asbestos bitumen or bitumen, whatever they call it. But I think they know that it's this stuff on here. This is the asbestos. It stinks. It smells chemically. That is all the crap that's under the floorboard. Dog shit, maggot casters, you name it, it's all there. Mold. But I think this stuff, and because it's stuck to the floorboard, every time you walk over these floorboards, this is all chinking off. And when I went to hoover in between here, because they've nailed it to it, when I hoover in between the gaps here, lots of these black particles in here have ended up inside the hoover. And they're all in the hoover bag. And I think that they're trying to tell me that the other stuff, because you see Paul Clark came out from the environmental health officer from Broadland Council and Breckland Council, and they're trying to downplay that this is the asbestos because it's been in since 1950s, and I think they're trying to distract me so that I take samples of that stuff under there, because they told me in front of Paul that this stuff is the asbestos. It's DP. You know, they've said that they've never had a problem with damp here. Do you really believe that? And they've told me that it's this stuff. But in the front room, in my daughter's bedroom, and in my bedroom, this stuff is present, and they've nailed into it. And where nails have come loose, because these floorboards are loose, you see. All of these floorboards in certain areas are loose, and every time you keep walking over it, do you see how that's all grinding off? Let me show you. All of these pieces have been sucked up through the hoover, through the sides of the boards here. So when I try to hoover out in between here, which I have done, all of these little shardy pieces have been coming into the hoover. All of these little tiny shards of this shiny stuff. And I wondered what it was. It smells chemically to me, but it smells like coal tar. This stuff has been in everything. It is everywhere. And the more you walk over the boards, the more it is. It looks like little mice rodent drop-ins is what it looks like. But this has been used as a glue, and it's also underneath blowing heaters as well. It's very damp under here as well, and very mouldy, because the floorboards are so bad that the screws or the nails that hold this in have all wrenched out. They're not in properly, and someone else has come in and put extra nails in some of the boards here, and those little black bits are everywhere. I'll show you another one. I've already breathed it. So's my daughter, so's my friends, so's my family. Everyone has already breathed this. I'll show you another one. And all the boards are loose. You see, I've covered this with some other solution because I'm trying to not limit it, but there's more under this one. I've been putting some stuff down to try and combat the smell here. And there's mold under here. And then there is all this asbestos stuff. All the way under here. And this is what I think saffron. And if you can see, it's all hit and miss in areas. It's in areas and it's all crumbled off. It's everywhere. This stuff ends up in the hoover in so many different areas, and they said that they didn't know that this hasn't been put on any report. Now, as I say, I've been trying to limit the smell that's coming from under here because there's a small void, but they've stuck it directly to the floorboards. And when I asked the council if there was any way I could get moved or anything else like that, they wrote in their report, or written in their report, that there's no risk to mine or my daughter's or anybody's health. And it's under every single floorboard in the house, and they're loose. Some of these boards are loose. And it's right underneath a blow heater. Although this has been on for a while, it's melted my floor that I had down. This is not the flooring, it was this flooring, but because everything stinks, it all has to be ripped up. But there, that is the asbestos. And it's under all of the floorboards and in between all of the gaps, especially where there's damp. Okay, I've put this in to try and minimize it, to try and limit the dust coming through, but you can see there's a piece there. There's bits of it on here. It's everywhere. It comes up in between the cracks of the floorboards. And there's been loads of past tenants here that got really sick as well. And there are extra nails been put into the wood where the boards are loose. So they've hammered into it. It's ruined my floor with the damp smell. So I have to lift up my flooring, you see, and then expose the gaps in between it. If I go to my daughter's room, it's also in there as well. It's in between the cracks in here. And again, I've had to lift up the floorboards. And there's a really bad smell in here. Not the floorboards, my floorboards. I had to take them up. The stuff is inside here as well, under the flooring. And it's all been nailed down. There's no void underneath this floor. So it's been nailed straight to the asbestos. And no matter what room we're in. So this is the front room.